Assalamualaikum dear students of class 11th. Hope you're fine. Dear students, as you know we are reading a play of the text Hornbill titled The Browning Version, written by Terence Rattigan. Today we will be starting our lesson from page 53. Now let us start. Frank, look, at what time did Mr. Crocker Horace tell you to be here? Tableau 6:30, sir. Frank. Well, he's 10 minutes late. Well, he's 10 minutes late. Why don't you cut? You could still play golf before lock-up. Tableau. Really shocked. Oh no, I could not cut. Cut the crook. I could not cut. Cut the crook, Mr. Crocker Harris. I could not cut. Cut the crook, Mr. Crocker Harris. I should not think it is ever been done in the whole time he has been here. God knows what would happen if I did. He would probably follow me home or something. Frank. I must admit, Frank, I must admit, I envy him the effect he seems to have on you boys in the farm. You will see. You will seem scared to death of him. You will seem scared to death of him. What does he do? Beat you all or something. Beat you all or something. Tableau. Good Lord. He is not a sadist like one or two of the others. Frank. I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. Tableau. A sadist. Tableau. A sadist, sir, is someone who gets pleasure out of giving pain. A sadist, sir, is someone who gets pleasure out of giving pain. Frank. Indeed, but I think you want to say that others, some other masters. Here are some words. Now, first is that is cut. Cut means stop doing something undesirable. Cut means stop something, stop doing something undesirable. Envy means jealously. Envy means jealously. Sadist means a person who derives pleasure by giving pain or humiliation to others. Pardon means the action of being forgiven for error or offense, forgiveness. Indeed means truly. Dear students, in this conversation, writer sums up here and tells that Frank asks him what time did Mr. Horace asked him to come to school. Tableau told him 6:30. Frank suggests him to go and play for a little while as he would be 10 minutes late. Tableau refuses as he is afraid of what would happen if he shows up in his absence, and he might follow him home. Frank tells him that he is a little jealous of Mr. Horace because of the effect he has on all the boys in the farm. He asks him if Horace beat students, to which Tableau says that no, he is not someone who derives pain by hurting others, There are one or two other teachers like that. Frank asked him to be more specific, and he explains to him the meaning of sadist. Frank asked him what he was saying about other masters. Now text. Tableau. Well, of course, they are, sir. I won't mention names, but you know them as well. I do, of course. I know most masters think we boys don't understand a thing, but sir, you are different. You are young, well, comparatively anyway, and you are science. You must know what sadism is. Frank, after a pause. Frank, after a pause. Good Lord, what are our schools coming to? Pause. Frank, after a pause. Good Lord, what are our schools coming to? Tableau. Anyway, the croc isn't a sadist. Anyway, the croc isn't a sadist. That's what I am saying. He won't be frightening. If he were, because at least it would show he had some feelings. But he has not. He is all shriveled up inside like a nut, and he seems to hate. And he seems to hate. People to like him. It is funny that I don't know any other masters who doesn't like being liked, who doesn't like being liked. Frank. And I do not know any boy who does not use that for his own purpose. Tableau well. Tableau well. It is natural. It is natural, sir, but not with the croc. Frank. Mr. Croker Horace. Tableau. Mr. Croker Horace. The funny thing is that in spite of everything, I do rather like him. Tableau. Mr. Croker Horace. The funny thing is that in spite of everything, I do rather like him. I can't help it, and sometimes I think he sees it, and that seems to shrivel him up even more. Frank. I am sure you are exaggerating. You are exaggerating. Now here are some words. One word is shriveled up, means having no feelings. Shriveled up. Shriveled up. Shriveled up means having no feelings. Exaggerating means represent something as being worse than it really is. Exaggerating, that means representing something as being worse than it really is. Here writer says that Tableau explains to him that there are many teachers in the school whose names he will not take, but they are sadists. They think that the boys do not understand a thing, but Frank is different from them, as he is young and he is from a science background and must know about sadism. It says that Frank in a surprising tone exclaims about the condition of schools. Tableau goes on ranting about Mr. Horace. He shares that Mr. Croker Horace is not a sadist, and yet he has no feeling. He is a type of person who might hate if when people like him. He further says he does not know about any master there who does not like being liked. Frank mocks him and says he has not seen any student using this quality for his own purpose. Tableau agrees and calls Mr. Horace croak again to which Frank corrects him by saying his full name. Now, here Tableau corrects himself and admits that he still likes him, and he cannot help it. Sometimes Mr. Harris seems if it, and he wrinkles even more. To which Frank replied that he must be exaggerating. Now Tableau, no sir, I'm not informed the other. No sir, I'm not informed the other day he made one of his classical jokes. Of course, nobody laughed because nobody understand it, myself included, sir. Still, I knew I had I would mean it as funny, so I laughed out of ordinary common politeness and and, and feeling a bit sorry for him for having made a poor like. Now I cannot remember what the joke was, but suppose I make it. Now you laugh, Sir. Frank laughs. Tableau, in a gentle, throaty voice, in a gentle, throaty voice, Tableau, you laughed at my little joke. I noticed it. I must confess that I am pleased at the advance your Latin has made since you to readily have understood what the rest of the forum did not. Perhaps now you would be good. Perhaps now you would be good enough to explain it to them so that they can too so that they can so that they too can share your pleasure. Here writer says that the door upright is pushed open and Millie Crocker Harris enters. The door upright is pushed open and Millie Crocker Harris enters. She is a thin woman in her late 30s. She is a thin woman in her late 30s. Rather more smartly dressed than the general run of schoolmates. Wives. She is wearing a cap and carries a shopping basket. She closes the door and then stands by the serene, watching Tableau and Frank. It's a few seconds before they notice her. Tableau. Here, Tableau shares further that one day Mr. Crocker Harris cracked one of his her students. Tableau shares further that one day Mr. Crocker Harris cracked one of his classic jokes to which no one laughed. He understood that the joke was meant to be funny and laughed anyway because he wanted to be polite and to feel sorry for him making such poor jokes. He does not remember. He does not remember what the joke was, and asked Frank to suppose he cracked a joke right away and asked him to laugh. He imitated his teacher again and told Frank what his reaction was when he laughed at his joke. Mr. Crocker Harris asked him to explain the joke to the rest of the forum, as he was the only one laughing in the class. As he was saying this, the door of the classroom opened and Millie, the wife of Mr. Crocker Harris, enters the class. She was a thin woman who dresses smarter than the rest of the women who are wives of schoolmasters, who are the wives of schoolmasters. She was wearing a cap and was carrying a shopping basket. She closed the door as she entered and stood next to the screen, watching both of them talking. They noticed her after a few seconds. Now the text is Frank. Come along. Taplo moved slowly above the desk. Frank, Frank, come along. Taplo moved slowly above the desk. Do not be so selfish as to keep a good joke to yourself. Tell the others. He breaks off suddenly, noticing Millie. Oh, Lord. Frank, Frank turns quickly and seems infinitely relieved at seeing Millie. Frank, oh, hello. Millie, without expression, hello. She comes down to the sideboard and puts her basket on it. Tableau, moving up to left of Frank, whispering frantically. Do you think she heard? Frank shakes his head comfortably. Shakes his head comfortingly. Millie shakes his head comfortingly. Millie takes off her cap and hangs it on the hall stand. I think she did. She was standing there quite a time. Tableau. So, quite a time. Tableau. If she did and she tells him, there goes my Remo. Frank. Nonsense. Frank. Nonsense. He crosses to the fireplace. Frank. Nonsense. He crosses to the fireplace. Infinitely to a great, here are some words. Infinitely means to a great extent. Frantically means desperately. Frantically means desperately. Here it says that as Frank was joking about telling the jokes to others, he saw Millie and stopped talking. He turned around and was relieved by seeing her there and by seeing her there and wishing her hello. She replied hello without any expression on her face and put her basket on the sideboard. Tableau asked Frank in a desperate tone if she had she had heard any of their conversation. Frank thought that she didn't. She did because she was standing there for quite some time. Millie took her and cap off and hung it on hall stand. Tableau is Tableau in a worrying tone says that if she did hear them, then he will not get his move removed and Frank tells him not to think too much. Frank crosses the fireplace. Millie takes the basket from the sideboard, moves above the table and puts the basket on it. Millie to Tableau. Waiting for my husband. Millie to Tableau. Waiting for my husband. Tableau moving down left of the table. Ear Arias. Millie. He's at Bursars and might be there quite a time. If I were you, I would go. Tableau doubtfully. He said most particularly I was to come. Millie, well, why don't you run away for a quarter of an hour and come back? She unpacks some things from the basket. Tableau. Supposing he gets here before me. Supposing he gets here before me. Millie, smiling. I will take the blame. She takes a prescription out of the basket. Tell you what, you can do a job for him. Take this prescription to the chemist and get it made up. Tableau. All right, Mr. Cooker Harris. All right, Miss Cooker Harris. He crossed towards the door upright. Here, Rat says that Amelie picks up the basket from the sideboard and puts it on the table. She asks Tableau if he is waiting for her for his husband, to which he replies yes. She tells him he is at the Bursars and it might take some time. If she was in his place, she might have left. Tableau replies that he said he will come. As Millie unpacks the things from the basket, she suggests him to go for a quarter of an hour and then come back to check on him. Tableau asks her if Mr. Harris come back before him, then what will happen? Millie assured him that she will take the blame for this and takes out a prescription from the basket. She stands it over to him and asks him to bring medicines for her from the chemist. He agrees and crosses the door upright. Thank you very much.